moments just don't happen. I mentioned Charlie, but he has a staff of people that for the pure love of the game also give of themselves. Gil Handler, our chairman, Elliot Nadell, our treasurer, and the other members of the committee, Bernie Epstein, Rudy Rudell, Albert Apuzzi, who gives his heart and soul to this game within the singles and doubles, and he's still doing all the committee work. Most of us are just taking a stroll. So I want you to acknowledge all these people. Please acknowledge too the referees. And I just want to inject a personal note here. It was only about 37 years ago that I was in a similar situation in the national championship, and I was lucky to win this prestigious title. And the great tradition from that time has gone on with such names as Vic Herskowitz. You all remember Vic Herskowitz? He's playing handball in Florida. The great Al Torres, the great Al Apuzzi, and the great John Durso.
Charles, go back home today. My next year.
He also met Joe Durso on these very courts in 1986, where he was able to become the singles champion in his own right. So let's hear it for Albert Apuzzi. Now, by a show of hands, score at Red Sports Illustrated within the last month. Okay, if you haven't, I urge you to go over to our boards, and you will see an article about West Street at our tournament.
In the double.
The first national champion of this event was a man by the name of Jack Burns. He won the championship in 1924. And now our great tradition has carried us right through 1991. And you just saw a magnificent display of the champions to come on that third court over there, with Robin Sastry winning the league singles championship. As you know, I keep talking until the players say I'm not trying to warm up, but I keep talking anyway because I love this great game. And now I want you all to relax. I want you to enjoy the matches. And if you have any notion about having a collector's item or souvenir of the tournament, we have them available at the desk. Thank you, and have a wonderful time.
All right, Ruby. Don't wear out the battery. Do me a favor, will you? I wore out my battery.
I'm going to say something else later.
My opinion of the group of people, don't put this on the air.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
That they have involved, as far as the referees are concerned, whoever appointed them is not.
Why is that? I mean, the referees, I think, when they make mistakes, they have to make a call instantly.
No, because they're not one of them is called it that way, Danny Aloni.
Right.
He's a player in the tournament, he should not be a referee. Who's this guy in the back with the yellow, with the beard? Where did he come from? Overseas? One wall is a one-wall game. The person that plays forward should never be the referee. His opinion of what a block ball is not the same.
The blocking is different from four-wall?
No question about it. Four-wall, you must move out of the way to let your opponent hit the ball. And one-wall,
You've got to move out of the way?
Four-wall, you must move out of the way. Must. Absolute must. This game is a reverse.
Yeah, right. I understand that because I play this game on Thursday. So, because I saw certain situations where the guy bumped into him and they didn't make it.
Bump into which way? If I bump into you, you're standing in front of me. It's not a block. Right. But if you back up and I'm behind you, you hit me with your body, that's a problem. I'm supposed to get out of the way. And I could be called out for not moving out of the, in the rear.
I know.
Through the crack of the fence.
That's the way to do it.
Go right here on the floor.
First of all,
You may have a better
Take some here.
man that's on the long line should be further back. And those people should be out of the way.
How can he move back though? There's
No,
no
no,
space.
the ones on the side. Over there. The rule of the game is if you run into any one of those people that are sitting, it's not a block ball. Therefore, they should move. The stand there when you're playing.
Yeah.
They're too close. I know what I'm talking about.
Go, Albert!
Actually, I have some experience in handball refereeing.
Anyone that's standing causes a block ball, but if you're seated, it's not a block. They're too close.
So do you think Apuzzi has a chance?
Do what?
To win.
He betters even money. He doesn't score 22 points in 2 games. You didn't hear what I said.
Bisky, are you going to stay there or you're repping?
No, I'm not.
You're not repping?
No.
And the fact that he pick it up there.
You asked
To make his direction.
You asked me a question. That is that Albert has not scored 22 points in 2 games.
Morris, you're supposed to be calling the game here.
Of course, I know it. It's hard to get a 4-wall man to be a referee who thinks contact is a block ball. All right? Who told that to Charlie? He's a player. He should not be involved in it. No way whatsoever. 2 reasons. One, he's a player. The other one, he doesn't understand one word. I know. Okay. This other guy with the dark glasses over here on the short line.
Yeah, I know.
She set him up in a Piper Cup to watch him up in the set.
But I've got to be
Comes around once a year
got
to
to be
play
able
ball.
to see. That's
He's calling
the
lines.
which is fine. I can see now.
See, you follow me? I should be on that short line. So I'm not the ref. I should be on the short line. What I tell you, see them moving back? See them? See them moving back?
Yeah.
We gotta get out of here. Absolutely correct. If they run into a seated spectator, it is not a block ball. Understand?
But somebody might get hurt.
That's why you're moving them out of the way. But if you run into a seated spectator, it is not a block ball. Remember that. That's why those people there. See them in the back over there? See them? Over here you'll have no problem. They don't tell you that you can't.
Right. I was hoping you would win tonight.
Yeah, that's good.
He owes me one now, you know?
What you're about to see is the 31st United States Handball Association National One-Wall Championship.
Get out of your way.
This championship, as you probably know, first occurred in 1924 when Jack Burns was the first recognized national one-wall champion. In 1919, however, the first four-wall national champion took the title. His name was Bill Ranft. And now, through the years, we've seen so many magnificent champions with diverse styles, and each bringing a different degree of heart to the game. And of course, that determines ultimately who the winner becomes. It's not necessarily the man who's in the finest condition. It's not necessarily the man with the most shots. But it's the man who can piece together a puzzle, depending on what his opponent brings to the game, at the precise moment when the issue will be decided. In front of you is Morris Levitsky, who is one of the all-time great referees of the sport. He's also a former national AAU chairman for many years. So the role he played was very important too in the continuity of the game. We're just about to start. Albert, of course, fellow in the bluish shorts, he likes to take a tremendously long warm-up. Durso, in the red shorts, typically didn't take much of a warm-up, but he's been advised, because of a possible bad back spasm or his knee giving out. Notice the knee brace, the black knee brace on his left knee. Okay, there's nothing wrong with him at the moment. These are just preventive measures. But what you're looking at are two of the finest all-time one-wall singles players. Joe has dominated the sport for the last 10 years. Albert, unfortunately, was always in a position to advance to the finals, only to meet Joe. But in 1986, Albert was able to eke out a 21-17 tie-breaking championship medal. Now, what's unusual about this contest today, we usually extend this tournament over 5 or 6 weeks. What we've done now for the first time is to combine all the events other than the juniors and to compress all the activity into a mere 4 days. What that meant was the players had to play multiple matches, sometimes in both singles and doubles. So therefore, the truly fittest athlete has a tremendous input into the outcome of this game. Albert, the smaller man, fast on his feet, tremendous lateral movement, catches up to virtually every ball, and many times dives headlong into the front court in order to make virtually impossible retrieves. Durso, the taller man, which is quite unusual in this sport, that a tall man would have so much flexibility, combining it with physical fitness and a court knowledge that hasn't come close to in many of the years that have just elapsed. We see that Albert has won the toss. It'll be a 21-point game. The player who first wins 2 games will be the champion. In the event each player wins 1 game, it'll be an 11-point tiebreaker. This is also an introduction this year into this event. What it means is that if you're used to playing drawn-out contests, 21 points in the 3rd game, all of a sudden now you're confronted with a new topic. Can I sustain my alertness for that meager 11 points? Albert has served, and Joe has not returned the ball in play. 1 playing 0.
Yes, Albert!
This part of the game is called the feeling out process, where both players try and get into the groove, trying to get their mental ability in line with their physical performance. This isn't easily done. Keep in mind they're playing before a very large crowd. Even though both of them are used to that, sometimes outside elements interfere with the player's psyche. So you must be very careful that you keep your emotional balance, whether it be by a spectator, an official, or whatever. The volatile characteristic, the nature of Joe Durso, sometimes tends to fall into that trap. That looked like a short, and the player on the line missed the first call of the game. He's got to take off his dark glasses. Yeah. Morris Levitsky, who usually is on the short line, is already cautioning the man that what he saw, he didn't see. does not bode well, as Shakespeare said. That does not bode well.
It's on the outside. It's tough enough to referee that short mark. Point, 1 claim 2.
Okay, we're back in the action. If this short line man should happen to make another mistake in the next 3 or 4 points, he is going to take himself out of the game by himself. Now, Joe has been scoring very heavily in the past matches with that overhand left-hand shot to the right corner. Keep in mind, Albert has been working these past 4 days in maintaining the integrity of the tournament itself. He's been here 7:30 in the morning. He's been involved with the seating. He's been involved with the administration of the tournament. Even though you're physically fit, sometimes the emotional drain involved with the work takes a lot out of the person. He doesn't realize it himself. He thinks he's physically fit, but the emotional nature of this game sometimes draws him into a pit. Durso is probably going to try a lot of short serves up the right line. Albert, unfortunately, has played multiple matches in singles and doubles. Joe had a stroke of good luck by playing in the doubles and losing early, so that gave him a little bit more energy. He is in better condition, but when you come to the game of handball, anything can happen. Is a very excellent practitioner of the low cross-court serves. He has the ability to put it just behind his back over the left short line. There's a psychological element here too. In the last 10 years, Durso has dominated mentally over Albert. We used to make remarks about him. I like to call them the Batman and Robin of the handball scene. And I think that may be a factor today. Joe has publicly stated that Albert has really never beaten him. Albert is probably doing the right thing now.
Albert hasn't played for the last year.
If Albert does anything else but go for the kill and try and end the volley, he'll find himself in serious trouble. Joe is the master of the volley. He knows how to push the man from side to side and tire him. The one problem he usually falls into, he taps the ball with his left hand instead of being very alert to ending the volley. I think you're going to see a new Durso today. He's determined to win this championship again.
Albert hasn't played for the last year. Did you mention that thing? Had a problem with his arm?
The score is 5-3.
That's a gorgeous serve that he has with all those hooks, Ruby. Very hard to pick up, isn't it?
As he warms up till about the 12th or 13th point, he will be entirely in focus. His body will be completely warmed up. And we have the first time out of the game, called by Albert. See that? You know, it's interesting to hear the comments of the spectators. They typically say things like, player X has no chance, player Y will do all these other things, and invariably you'll find out when you get into the face-to-face confrontation on the court, anything can happen. There's a possibility of injury. There's a possibility of some bad call triggering off a mental spasm, which will result in a player being taken out of the game. All these things are possibilities. And despite that, the sheer physical force that you're seeing now of two athletes, their mental and physical concentration being focused right at this moment, it's absolutely unbelievable. We don't know what will happen. We just don't know. I think there's a rule in handball that the referee should not play favorites. This was an obvious indication. Just teasing. Now Joe sometimes gets into trouble when he gets a lead. He typically doesn't think much of the ability of his opponents.
He seems to be contemptuous now.
But at one point in time, as the game starts, he'll just hit the ball around saying, oh well, I can always catch up. But that hasn't happened today. He's really concentrating.
7 playing 3.
The other side of the issue is when he takes a lead, then he's corroborated in his own mind that his opponent is nothing. And he'll tend to let up again. Sometimes you can't come back. But he looks totally focused now. He's going to try and punish Albert.
Joe's missing a lot of balls.
Keep in mind now, since this is the early part of the game,
Joe has the Adam's apple.
Albert will be able to put some points together. But I think as the game goes on and the volleying takes its toll, you're going to find out that Joe will put even more pressure on him and dominate. Wow. How do you make that?
He has tremendous movement. He seems to get everywhere. He doesn't seem to be trying very hard.
Not many players would have been able to catch up with that ball, but Joe, with his long arms and his graceful stride toward the ball, well in anticipation of where the ball will go, was still able to send the ball cross-court effortlessly and just missed putting Albert out by a couple of inches. You see, the shot you just saw could be one of the critical elements of the game. If the lineman would have made a mistake on that call, the scene would have been set for other calls and some controversy.
Is that going to be discouraging to him that he set it up? No.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, with Albert serving, that's going to generate more of his power. It's going to take more of his gasoline. And as the game comes to the 13th, 14th, and 15th point, I think you're going to see a transformation. Joe will be totally warmed up, and Albert, I think, will plateau. But let's see what happens. There's no such thing as a prediction that comes true. We just have to wait and see. But it would be foolish for Albert to try and keep volleying with Joe.
5 playing 7.
He's got to go for the low ball and the killer, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The longer he stays in the volley with Joe, the more of his chances diminish.
5, 7, 1, 4.
This is equally beneficial for Joe that the score is still around the 5-7 mark, because the more points Albert scores this game, the less gas he's going to have for the next game. Joe, I think, even senses that. You notice that Albert lost his serve? Okay, now keep that in mind as the game goes on. Notice that Albert is trying to pound the ball. What he should try and do is take the ball off the wall on Durso's return and drop it in front of himself. Even if it's 6 or 8 inches high, by the time Durso would get around him, he could probably score.
They obviously don't like each other.
Remember, this is what I mentioned before. What you're seeing now is the setting of the scene, which has more to do with the game than just hitting the ball back and forth. As the game evolves and Joe puts more pressure with low serves, there's going to be even greater pressure on the short line now. He's going to get a little nervous and uptight because he made that initial mistake. He's concentrating extra hard on the line. That's not how you call a short line. All right, there's another mistake.
Probably Albert is expecting all this stuff, right? These guys played each other many, many times. They know pretty much how they're going to attack each other. Isn't that right, Ruby?
That's only possible, has a little significance. The more significant thing is that Joe has such a mastery of this game. Even if he didn't play for 6 months, he'd still be a master. Whereas Albert is purely a function of time on the court. He's had a few medical problems during the past year, which took him off the court. And he needs all that. You see, now he's lost another serve. Right? What's going to happen now, I think, Joe is going to start putting the ball behind his back at the left long line, rather than putting him short. Well, he put it short. Okay. See, that's the reason. That's the reason I wouldn't have put that serve short. Albert is still strong.
How come he's giving it?
He was testing him. That's Joe's favorite serve, but you're going to see later he's going to put it behind his back closer to the long line. That's an excellent serve. That's an excellent serve. But what Joe's going to keep trying now is pushing the ball back, trying to lull Albert into a volley. Albert, I think, will still attempt to kill the ball. Keep in mind, if you play multiple matches over a series of days, your muscles tend to get pretty tight. And then you need some hot sun on you, and you need some vigorous activity in order to loosen up. They're reaching that point about now. We noticed that they weren't making all the shots. We're missing someone, but they're getting to a point now. The Albert lost his third serve already.
This is a straw that broke the camel's back.
Now I think Joe may still, I don't know. With his brain, he may still go low. I would go to the left. Okay, that's the serve I'm talking about. And Joe is brilliant at this. Any player, that's his weakness, where you put the ball to the long line, where the man has to extend his arm, and you're smart enough to take it off the wall and just push it down. That was a wonderful return by Albert. He put it high. But remember what I said before, the more volleying he does, the more he's going to be in trouble.
So this is Joe's strength here.
Yeah. He's warming up beautifully. He did this yesterday against Torres the same way. Torres didn't have a shot in the first game. He made a mini comeback in the second with his hop serves. But then Joe refocused, and he pretty well took him off the scene rather hastily. Okay, we have a glove change, which is not a timeout. Keep in mind that there are 3 one-minute timeouts in the game. It's still a little uncertain as to which player will win this first game, because neither one has actually demonstrated a dominance.
Joe just stopped.
Albert, of course, has served out 3 times, but that doesn't mean at any moment he can't make a flashy comeback. If you are a betting man, you probably have to go with Joe Durso at this moment. The reason I whispered that is because Albert was passing by and I didn't want to disorient him. He has very good hearing. He hears everything. So, the sun is coming out. The players are warming up to a point where they should be at almost peak efficiency. So now...
Could you listen to me? If you can move against the wall, that would be helpful for me.
No, he's got to be on this side. He can't get closer than that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
This is usually where Joe breaks away. But Albert will try and come back. See what I mean? Albert is in trouble every time he volleys. Albert is in trouble every time he volleys. Now the question is, how many points would Albert have scored had he not served the ball out 3 times? Probably not too many.